Welcome to another episode of the Oddity Critics. I'm Filthy Punisher Collins. If you obviously can't tell with all this Punisher stuff I got on, I represent my homies. I'm not one of those fake ass people who just has a name and don't wear the merchandise. But thank you for another special Part 2 episode of WrestleMania. If you didn't see my other video, I did the first night, which was on Saturday, of WrestleMania. So this is second night. This is Sunday's night. Let me tell you, I don't know if a lot of these matches would have been pre-show, because altogether you had first night, which was about 3 hours, and then this night was about 3.5 hours, so it would have been like a 6-hour show. And if it started out at 6 o'clock Central, like I'm working on, it would have been over about midnight. But if it was in Florida, it would have been over at 1 o'clock. So I don't know how many of these matches would have been pre-show, but honestly, I felt like this night was more consistent of alright matches compared to Saturday's Part 1. It had a little bit more inconsistent good matches, or at least, I don't want to say higher expectations, but it wasn't, it didn't end as badly, I'll say that. With that being said, I'm going to get into some of these wrestling matches. First of all, gotta give a shout out to Carlos, and I gotta give a shout out to my buddy Sage, especially because me and Sage watched it last night. I mean, we watched both nights together, but he's my wrestling buddy, and so we talked about the matches while it was going on. We gave our own commentary, and let me tell you, there are some parts in the wrestling thing that made us laugh, or like, what the fuck. And the funny thing is, my live, because it was already pre-taped, was about like 3 to 4 seconds sooner than Sage's. So sometimes I'd be like, oh shit, and he'd be like, what? And I'm like, oh, nothing. I just wanted to get you excited about something, motherfucker. But I thought it was funny. Anyways, now the first match honestly surprised me what it was. It was Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. Now, I always hear that if you don't go on as main event, you want to go on as first, because everybody is actually paying attention and all that. And I do feel like it might have got lost in the middle, but I do feel like it was a good opening match. Obviously, I personally wanted Rhea Ripley to win, because if she's going to be the new face of NXT, I feel like she should have beat Charlotte. But that's not how it went down. Charlotte won, and now she's going to NXT. Now, my friend Sage says the reason why that Charlotte won was because AEW's women division is lacking, and so they needed something to, push them ahead of AEW. But my problem is, Charlotte, I'm not saying that she's not a good wrestler or nothing like that, but I feel like she's kind of like the wrestler who you always see all the time, and you're kind of like, yeah, well, I'm tired of seeing them. And at least that's my perspective on Charlotte. I don't know, maybe I'm just over-exaggerating things, but honestly, it was pretty good. I do feel like, it was pretty obvious that Charlotte was going to go for the knee, but I think it would have been better if Rhea Ripley went for the knee, so Charlotte could have put the figure 8 on her, because she would do more damage to her leg, same as damage to Rhea Ripley's. With that being said, I wasn't disappointed. It was better than Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler. This one I do feel like I wouldn't say lived up to the hype, but definitely wasn't a terrible match. Definitely was entertaining, especially when Rhea Ripley hit her finisher within the first 3 minutes of the match. So I'm going to give this a B minus. Not terrible, but not, it was lacking something. I don't know. Maybe it's just the fan energy and all that. I mean, I feel like that is like a lot of these matches. It was missing the fan energy, but it wasn't terrible. Next match was Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley, and I do have to say, this is probably one of my I wouldn't say least favorite matches and all that, but one of the matches that I didn't care to really see. Like, it didn't matter to me. This probably to me would have been a pre-show match. I love Aleister Black. I think he's a great wrestler. And Bobby Lashley might have been good at TNA, but I feel like now he's kind of... I feel like WWE's is... I'm not saying wasting him because, I don't know, like maybe they realize he's not that good. That's why they had to put Lana with him and everything. I always thought it would have been cool if like Rusev came out and fucked up Bobby Lashley so they kind of restart their feud. But I'll give this match... It also really quick. I feel like maybe the reason why they wasn't so good was because they have no chemistry with each other. So of course, if you have no chemistry with each other, the match ain't gonna be all that. With that being said, I'm gonna give Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley a C minus. Could have done a lot more work, but it was a decent, second match compared to King Corbin and Elias. Next one was Otis versus Ziggler. And let me tell you, Ziggler is the workhorse of the wrestling. Like, he can get anything over because he's so good. He just can't get over being a champion. Now, last time he was a heavyweight champion, he got a concussion a couple months after, so it really stunted what he was doing. But he was the workhorse, and he's always been good. And I had a lot, Sage. First of all, fuck you, Sage. Only because he calls me Otis. But I do gotta say, Otis ended up with Mandy Rose at the end of this match. So I'll take being Otis if that's the case. Not that it was anything spectacular or nothing like that, but it was a decent match. And when Mandy Rose came out and I was like, man, what if she decides just to be a bitch and just be like, fuck you, Otis? That's what I was worried about. But no, she chose Otis' side. She gave a low blow. Well, first of all, right when Otis was about to do the Caterpillar, God, what's her name? Sonya Deville or something like that. Mandy Rose's best friend distracted the referee, and then Ziggler came up and low blowed or kicked Otis right in the nuts. And I'm like, shit, Then Mandy Rose came out and gave Dolph Ziggler a low blow. And when she got in his arm and started making out with him, I'm like, go Otis, go Otis. I do feel like that, with even though there was no fans there, it really had that energy for that because of it. So I'm going to give this one a C+. Not, like I said, it wasn't terrible or anything like that. But I don't feel that it was worth a B or anything. Just because it was just alright match. Now the next one I was surprised. It was Edge versus Randy Orton in the Last Man Standing match. I was surprised how early that match went on. I thought it would have been like a co-headliner or something like that. Now I hear people saying that it didn't have no violence or nothing like that. Remember, we're in the PG era, and they can't go as violent as you and I would want them to go. But with that being said, how I told Sage, I was like, I was surprised that Edge came out first. I was like, but now after it happened, it made sense because Randy Orton hiding as a cameraman came out and RKO'd Edge, and before the match started, and then when the match started, he gave another RKO. So kind of make it look like Edge was always fighting. And I liked how they went through the whole performance center arena. Like, I thought that was pretty good. The part that I was like, man, Edge hurt himself there too, is there was this little cage on top of this metal table, and he holds it and he drops down and gives him an elbow drop. And you can see like Edge like holding his ass and all that because he hit that metal table, and he's like, oh fuck, like he hurt himself. So, you know, like Edge went full out, and of course Edge won because his return, but he gave Orton a concerto. And also, with that aspect, gave time for Orton to take time off. So it made sense with that happening. But I don't think it was as bad as some people say it is. Some people was getting to see. Honestly, this is the match I was most excited about, and I'm going to give it a B-. Could have been better, of course. But it also wasn't terrible, especially for somebody who has been wrestling for 9 years. And the only thing I was worried about is Orton not being in the match, not being in the match because always he's in the match, but mentally, like when Edge or when Orton checks out, he's just going through the motions. But I like how Orton was like when he threw Edge's head in the wall and all that, and Edge is like clawing up, and he goes, "Don't worry, buddy, I got you, don't worry," you know, like. Just like talking shit to him, but not talking shit to him. I like that. So, B-. Like I said, definitely could have been better, but it didn't disappoint me for what it was. Next one. This is one of my other ones I was kind of like second least favorite. Not like second least favorite, like it was terrible or anything like that, but the match that I thought would have been a pre-card match. And it was a Street Profits versus Angel Garza and Austin Theory. Now, Sage is a big Austin Theory fan, but I always fuck with him when he likes certain wrestlers. Like, I'm always like, oh man, this guy looks like a piece of shit. Austin Theory wasn't bad or nothing like that, but you knew that they were going to lose because it's the first time that they tagged up together. So, you know, predictable matches kind of, you know. And I'm just surprised I was like in the middle of the card. Like, I thought this would have been one of the first matches to start it. That being said, I'll give this one just a C. You know, it's in the middle, nothing outstanding or nothing like that. But it wasn't terrible. But it was just to me a pre-match kind of match. Next one was the Women's Championship 5-pack challenge with Bayley, Sasha Banks. God, I'm gonna hate myself for not remembering right now. Tamina, Naomi, and I should have wrote this down. Lacey Evans, that's who it is. And I said from the beginning with the Sage, so like, hey, if they want to, you know, as long as they don't give the title to Tamina, she doesn't really do shit. So I'm like, that would be a waste of a championship for Tamina. But they got rid of her first, and then I was surprised that Naomi. I was surprised they were pushing Lacey Evans, but you know they had Lacey Evans' head in the turnbuckle, and Bayley was going to give her the knees to the head, but then she pulled Sasha Banks in the way and hit her, and which caused friction between Sasha Banks and Bayley, and now. I was hoping for a Sasha Banks versus Bayley at the end to set up their feud, but they didn't do that. They haven't pulled the trigger, and that's what kills me about WWE. They don't pull the trigger when they have gold right there. They could go on for months and months with their feud. No, I can't remember if Sasha pushed Bayley out or Bayley pushed Sasha. But then Bayley grabbed Lacey Evans' arm, and then she turned her around, and then she gave the women's right to Sasha. But how I see it is, Bayley didn't do anything to prevent. Bayley didn't do anything to prevent Lacey Evans from pinning Sasha. And then it was, of course, you know, Lacey Evans and Bayley at the end. And Sasha got in, knocked out Lacey Evans, and Bayley won. I was surprised just because, WrestleMania, but at the same time, Becky Lynch. So, what surprised me is only, you got the Women's Tag Team Championship that went to Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross on Saturday night, and then you had Charlotte winning. But you had I felt like either Becky or Bayley should have lost their title, in my opinion. So, that match, I'm going to give it a B- also. It was pretty good, but if you just had Becky versus Sasha at the end, I feel like B+, A- kind of thing. Maybe an A, I don't know. And this next match, I put air quotes in. I don't know don't get me wrong, it was a cool segment and all that, but that's all I call it, is a segment with John Cena versus The Fiend. I feel like it could have been a lot better if it was a match. But at the same time, and I was surprised they didn't say shit during this, and that surprised me. But it wasn't terrible or nothing like that. But, it wasn't really a match. And maybe it was just like John Cena's way to say goodbye to people for a while. But, it was better than Goldberg and Braun's match, but it wasn't better than the Boneyard match. So I'm going to give it a C-, just because the segment was cool and what they did was cool, but I feel like this should have been one of the first 3 matches then, if that's what they were going to do. Maybe because people was anticipating what was going to happen, but I felt like what they did, shouldn't have happened. Where John Cena, Bray Wyatt was playing Kurt Angle, and then John Cena came out as his old John Cena character. And then he played Dr. Darknomics and all this and then reminisce and everything. I don't know, C-, wasn't bad. And then we get to the main event. And Brock Lesnar ain't going to be at WrestleMania, or at least not unless he's either first or last. And obviously that meant that Brock Lesnar was going to be the main event. So Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre. And let me tell you, I enjoy Drew McIntyre. I didn't enjoy him back in the day, but how he is now, he might not have the best matches, but his character and all that, I really enjoy. And Sage, and he makes a good point. He goes, that's why Todd Phillips and Saxon is a B kind of interviewers, because when Brock started giving Drew German suplexes, they didn't say nothing about Suplex City or anything like that. So I really feel like they did miss things to say during that. I'm like, oh, another German suplex. Oh, another German suplex. Not saying oh, it looks like Drew's head of Suplex City, or, like that. But once he had 3 F5s, I'm like, shit. Damn. But then once he got out of that, he kept it the first F5, he kicked out at 1. The second F5, he kicked out at 2. So he thought the third one is where the match would be over with. Nope. Gets up, starts Claymore kicking Brock, and Brock was on his knee. Claymore kick, 1, 2, 3. I was surprised that it was I wouldn't say it wasn't a quick match or anything like that, but how Brock didn't even kick out. Besides the first Claymore kick at the beginning of the match, it's the only time I was surprised. I always expected Brock to kick out. That being said, I'm glad that Drew won. I wish it was in front of a crowd and all that, because the excitement of everybody. I don't know if this will be Brock is going to be gone for a while now, but I hope Drew has a good, I wouldn't say long reign, but a decent reign, and but it's going to help benefit his character. So with that, I'm going to give Brock versus Drew a B-. If it had the crowd, it probably would have been a B+, maybe an A, but they were missing that little, excitement from the match. Nothing terrible, but I do say it's more consistent. You don't have no F's like Braun Strowman and Goldberg. You only had one, the Boneyard match, which is The Fiend and John Cena. For the rest of it, they were consistent matches of being good. And not all this hype like Becky Lynch's match, to where, it kind of lets you down. But anyways, thank you for tuning in for another special episode of WrestleMania Part 2, or WrestleMania 36 Part 2. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to write any comments of what movies you think I should review while this whole thing's going down, of this quarantine. Don't forget the next 2 subscribers get to pick my movie. The next 5 subscribers get to subscribe back. Thank you for tuning in. And like I say, stay classy.